Today is May 25th, 2026. 1 year ago today, up in Summit Mall in Hollister's, teenage boys were laughing about this. Boy did Bill from the Freemasons. Run the biggest scam here. He had some guy go in and drug her up and tell her to say that. Can you imagine that? Had some guy videotape her in the shower washing herself and Photoshop that in the other room. Ran the biggest scam off of this. Who could steal our money? And laughing about it. That's where May 26, 25. Walmart 62, the other cartel comes in. We heard they were making fun of Bill from the Freemasons, big scam in Summit Mall. Of the dirty doctor not being one of hers works for them, and they had lied he was one of her doctors. The whole thing's a scam from Bill. Which led into May 30th, 25, of the Louisville police finding that and finding the original case that my ex-husband hired 2 men on his own. One was saying he was an attorney. Yesterday, on May 24th, 26th, I was in several different places. I was in Outback, and when at first I had met my family there, I turned around and looked. I could hear people in the entranceway talking, and they were saying, "We all know." Well, for we all know. For we all know you're a big dumbass. It's a scam. They've repeatedly admitted to it. Repeatedly admitted to it. The whole thing's a scam. And you're just part of the extortion group, making a fool out of yourself. Well, we left after we got done, and I went to Walmart 62. I had to pick up some groceries. Then I went to go in, and I needed some kitchen items. So we're walking in there, and this dumbass bee coming up behind me. You better, when your husband's gone, you'll never find another husband again. With what's going on, I thought, it's a scam, and I'm a drugged up, beat up rape victim, a human trafficking victim. And you're part of this, and don't threaten me, and what are you doing? Stalking me, you idiot. Okay? Then there's other people in there. Some guy showed up. He didn't like her hair, how bad it looked. Did I ask him? Did I ask his opinion? No. No. Then other ones, look at that dress. She looks ridiculous. Because I had a cute little sundress on and some sandals. Because it was raining. I put my coat on. It was comfortable and extremely tired from working the night before. And do I care? No. Did I ask their opinion? No. And then some guy showed up to see how ugly she was. He seen it and just laughed. You know, did I ask his opinion? And what's he doing stalking me? Where Henry Moffy's having men show up and see how ugly I am. He looks like a horse's ass. He's a skin over bones drug dealer, and he's so insane. He thinks he can scam money out of the government. Stop playing with that fool. And then as I go to leave, people are talking. They found out she has degenerative joint disease. The people trying to say that she's faking, they realize how stupid they look. You look like, do you want me to really say what you look like? How incompetent you look. You have some real mental issues. You need mental help. You need some serious psychiatric help. You have some serious issues going on in there. And then they were saying about my muscles locking up before and that it went in remission. Oh, she's having some trouble with her neck. They're hoping if they keep harassing her, all her muscles will lock up. You know what? Kiss my ass. Kiss my ass. Okay. Well, we took some stuff over to Dan's, And then we took some stuff home. Well, I had somewhere else to go. And then on the way home, I went to Myers. This guy walks by. He looks a lot like my son, John, taller and, heavier. He walks by, puts his nose up in the air like the guy did when he walked by. And he's white guy, 30s, tall, brown hair. Okay. He's with a girl she's white, she's got black hair. Walked in ahead of us, and she gets on the phone. Do you realize how dumb these people were? Bringing the other John in to pull off the scam that he verified, and it wasn't him. As somebody just saying he was him. They were making fun of her because Agent John stole her money. He's giving it out. Okay. Then some other guy was in there. I've been listening to her. He said, do you realize how horrible it had to be for her to find out where they were keeping her so drugged up there? She thought it was a well water, making her sick. And here she's being raped by men she's never met. How horrifying that had to be for her. I'd vomit. Diarrhea. Run to the bathroom and vomit. It was horrifying. Devastating. Heart-wrenching. Cut your soul right in two. Being human trafficked under drugs. Human traffickers did this. Okay. They're trying to get people to pay for harassment, and they're just stealing your money, and they're putting it in their own pocket. They're scammers. They're scamming people out of money. He was talking, he said, do you realize on May, 26, 24? May 28th, 24, something like that. They were in Myers and North Main, where I was in North Canton. Lady came in and had said that I talked to the police that work her case. They said it's ridiculous for anybody to ever insult her. She almost died to save children. That they always knew she was drugged and told to say it before. And the tape of Weird with Yourself is nothing but washing in the shower. They took a video of it and photoshopped that in the other room. And the whole thing was just a scam. It's just ridiculous for anybody to insult her. She almost died to save everyone. He was talking about that. He said, do you realize they were in here telling everybody years ago it was a scam? I know. See, back on April 10th, 26, in the VA on Wise Street, Carl and I were reporting. That's another thing that was said around me in Myers. They were trying to say she's mean to her husband, and she's trying to get him to say, have a voice for himself. To say he had been so abused by his other family, he's afraid to speak out. If something's not working, he's uncomfortable, anything. And she's trying to teach him to have a voice. And that to tell what he needs, to tell what he wants, that it's safe. And she's trying to teach him to have a voice. She's not abusing him. She's helping him. I listened to her. Carl, when we were out today at Outback, he sat there quiet. And I thought, you didn't get to sit next to me. Are you pouting? What is wrong with you? And then in the car, after we left Walmart, I'm talking to him. And I realized he couldn't hear me. He had his hearing aids in. I said, Carl, are those things not working? And I said, take them out. And you could hear, ee. I said, has that been doing that the whole time? Yeah. And I said, why didn't you take them out? Why did you leave them in there? You have to have a headache. Well, you said I should wear them today. I said, so you could hear everybody. You couldn't hear anything with that buzzing. Why didn't I want to say anything? I said, you need to. I said, we're not going to hurt you. Nobody's going to yell at you. Everybody be upset that you sat there and were uncomfortable. And just because you thought you should wear them. I said, you gotta speak up. No one's gonna hurt you like those other people did. And see, that's where his stepson Lester admitted September 10th, 25 in a courthouse. He almost beat him to death before. And he's angry. And I got him when we went to, left the courtroom. His other daughter from his stepdaughter, they're not even his children. They belong to Jim and Brenda, his second wife, and her husband. They're not even his children. That Deb was grown, 26 and on her own. Found out that that evil woman, when she was alive, would have her children that were teenagers, and the other one that was grown beat him. He's only 5'3", 135, and she was like 6'3", 100 pounds. Beat on him and sexually assault him. And he lived in fear and horror for years. So trying to get him to realize he's safe and loved has been helping him heal and teaching him it's okay to have a voice and not to be afraid. She sexually assaulted him in the courthouse, came up and got all over him. He's like this, and she's all over his mouth and stuff. And then rubbed his chest. How do you like it? Sexually assaulted an 80-year-old man. Gave him thrush. She was in the hospital in 3 days. And she smiles. She has no teeth. Built like a man. It was horrifying. And he was devastated for a long time. And he said that his second wife would have her do that. And after the kids beat him and then threatened him to be quiet, he lived in fear and horror for years from those people. And now, and they were that Henry Muffy inciting his son Rick to threaten to kill him and to take everything. And I had to take my husband and run, like the deputy Cox down in Tuscarawas County. Don't ever let him know where you live again for his safety. And, we've been through a lot this year because of these people. And so trying to get him to realize he's safe, no one's going to harm him. I'd like to move him further out. I'd really like the FBI to give us new name social so we can live out the rest of our life without fear. And get the medical treatment I need from helping them with this case. Because I do need medical help. And I wouldn't have these injuries if I wouldn't have helped them. But that's a whole different thing. But September 10th, September 10th, 25 in the Tuscarawas County Courthouse. That's, that happened. But there's another thing that happened. And this is where Agent John, I worry for you. I fear for you. In the beginning of the case, they said they were using me as a pawn. It was funny, I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what was going on. And how they drugged me and told me to say it before. Photoshop that shower scene in the other room. Race people out of rooms. How they framed me, but I didn't know what they were doing. And then 2020 to 22, they admitted to that they were setting you up to be arrested. Okay? You were the target. That was what was so funny. I didn't know. Then they said they were going to get the case thrown out. And in 2018 and 2019, they were looking for legal loopholes. And then they started how you told on me before, how you made a recorded line. And then last year they started again. They wanted you to show up and explain yourself for arresting those drug dealers. And that they were, that helped out. They were going to get the case thrown out because you told on me before you made it on a recorded line that you met with everyone. Everybody already knew. You made fun of me, bullied me, made me beg for my life, listed me informant, then threatened me if I told. Then it's illegal for you to even say any of that in their federal crimes. And then they were coming for the case and going to get it thrown out on technicality. I wasn't paid. And they either stand up for that case. And there's something about this. They think that the FBI would let serial killers go before they would stand up for the case that got them so many drug dealers and do what's right and pay me for helping out in the case, which is like a kick to the stomach because I thought they would have done what's right before this. And the thought they're doing it, you know what I mean? It's like insult to injury. I was betrayed from the beginning, and they're using that against them to get the case thrown out. Well, September 10th, 25, there was people in there calling my case a fraud. They were in the prosecutor's office. They had talked to Judge Lori. They were talking to other people, and they were March 5th, 26 in Bell Store. They said it was opposing attorney with the agent over my case calling my whole case fraud. Even being seen together as life in federal, 20 to life. He can never be with them. I think the agent John they're using is like the fake John that they were talking about today, where they said years ago, send in the other John so we can pull this off. And they did it right in front of the police events. That's where that girl was talking. How dumb were they? Showing that they were having somebody impersonate him years ago. Okay. Well, I think they have somebody impersonating Agent John, where they're setting him up to be arrested. April 10th, 26th, I'm in the VA on Y Street. We're taking in proof of all the threats and harassment to the VA. Okay. They're scanning it into Carl's file. And there's an older white guy with an older African American guy. And he's acting like he's Agent John. See, I've never met him in person. I only talked to him on the phone. And how he is passing out the case's money. He's even going to tell the Department of Justice he's passing it out and then using the excuse of calling me a faker. And how he's been passing out and all this other stuff. He'll even tell the DOJ he's doing it. Well, the next day I was down in Millersburg, investigator showed up. That, well, this is a win-win situation. We either got somebody impersonating Agent John, framing him, or we have Agent John confessing he's stealing money from the government, and that idiot would never call the DOJ and admit that he's stole government funds passing it out. They'd arrest him. So where that girl was framing John, Agent John today. Now, January 13th, 23, I had met my friend Matt out in Worcester. He told me, you told me what happened to you. I work in a factory, but I also race horses professionally. On the racetrack, there's drug dealers. He said, I know someone who knows someone who knew one. That told me about him, and I went over and talked to him. Said that all the Ohio drug dealers know you didn't know, and he started saying a bunch of other stuff. And he said the Ohio drug dealers were so mad at that agent for letting all those people be human trafficked, they were threatening his life. And I said, whoa, I don't believe in violence. He said, it's not me, it's them. He said, I'm just repeating what they said. And they were threatening his life. And see, that's where, with them, I found out after March 5th, 26th down in Bell Store, it was like the 12th or 13th. They showed up March 12th or 13th of 26 in there, that they're sending out the recorded line to police stations of him, say you're lying, I'll arrest you, say you're lying, I'll put you in jail. How he had met with all those people in his office. And then bullying me and laughing at me. Like they said, it sounded like pure evil. Him on that recorded line. Well, the guy that lives in my old apartment on North Chapel said he was in the office when they were talking. He was talking to him. He let them listen to him and bullying me. Well, apparently they recorded him. And they're sending out the police departments trying to get him arrested. And that lady said he sounded like pure evil. I know he did. He sounded like Satan himself. Where I was always told it was an act. Well, where they said March, was it 12th or 13th, something like that, of 26 down at the Bell store, that people have showed up and said that agent took a payoff. And where they're running around telling people stuff. And honestly, I think he may be in danger. And do I believe that's Agent John? Absolutely not. Just like at the beginning of the case, they said it was retired Judge Pete, friends with Ludick, letting him get away with crimes. Judge Ludick didn't know him, and he was no retired judge. Then they said the chief of police of Portage County was letting him do it, and he wasn't. Dave told Danny, April 16, 23, when they finally went to him, where I went to him Christmas Eve of 22 and asked him if they knew about body cameras, if they were taping in the bathroom about a shower scene in the other room or washing yourself, and where I had all those bruises going up and almost passing out in front of people, if they knew they were drugging me up and telling me say horrible stuff. And they didn't. And like Jen said, I seen you like that, and I didn't put it together. Somebody hurting you, Karen. I thought you were working too hard and bruising too easy. And the kids came out of the room and hugged me. I kept going over there and asking them questions. Well, April 16th, 23, after Jen's mom's memorial service, walking across the parking lot was Danny and Jen to Gabe and Shay and said, I finally went to Dad. Ask him what on earth is going on. See, they didn't know about. They didn't report it. They framed them too. And he said he had hired some guy named Pete on his own, just some guy. And Pete, he hired some guy named Pete on his own. It was Pete and his men at her home before Pete has her framed. Pete has her taped the filthy, dirty statement. Just some guy. I've never met him. I don't know who he is. And he has to be the hypnotic drugs and told to say it. The black and blue marks. If you're infected, he's a rapist, a drug dealer, human trafficker. Okay? Like Officer Mark said, it was a drug cartel in my home before they seen him. This is a drug cartel scam. See, that's where Maddie said the Ohio drug dealers told him that they knew I didn't know, too. That it was a drug scam from the drug dealers, human trafficking people. It's just a drug scam. Okay? Well, that girl that was in Myers, the girl with the black hair, white, the one with the guy that looks similar to John, said how Agent John's passing out money. Oh, Agent John gave them permission to go in there before. That's not what Dave said. Dave hired these men on his own. What did the Louisville police, when they found the case? May 30th, 25 at 1 o'clock in the morning, talking outside. My ex-husband hired 2 men on his own. Agent John didn't give him permission. You lied. You lied. See, that's where, they were trying to get the Ohio drug dealers to take care of him. And now they're trying to get law enforcement to take care of him. I've wrote the president. I have wrote the Department of Justice, the OPR, FBI, Internal Affairs, because it's a road case with statements. And I remember the investigators around me. We need to get a court order for everything. And to get these people, get surveillance on them. They said, we don't even have to do that. We got one on her for that protected custody case. They're using them to do it to her. We'll just use her case. We already got the statements in a court order, surveillance order. They're using them. See, where they have said her protective custody case, her threatened attempted life case, led into the drug cartel. It did. And they were the ones they were already using parts of them. And so when the other ones showed up to help out, they just used my case. And I lived through hell helping the FBI. If I would have known what I was getting into. See, it's one thing getting information on Dave in the churches, and another thing facing drug cartels, human traffickers. I had no idea what I was going to be left in the middle of. No idea. I didn't, like they said when the case first started, we found out Karen's ex-husband was keeping her so drugged up there. They were drug beating, raping her, and she wasn't realizing what was happening. I thought it was a well water give me cancer. Because it was orange. Okay. And they were saying that it was a judge up there messed up in the drug cartel, told everybody to stay out of it. They wanted his drug connections. And to find out that it's just some guy saying it was a judge. See, all these people are just imposters, pulling a big con off, trying to rob people money. This whole thing was an attack against the FBI. They've already admitted that. The FBI was started. Where I told you Strange hated the government. The government's evil. And it'll take your kids away from you. They'll brainwash them. They'll come in your house. They'll take your guns. You have to bury them in pipes in the backyard. The evil government. His son is a mistress for up 10 years. Katie, her family member, Michelle, is dating my husband behind my back. I didn't know. And she's messed up in drugs. Her dad, Henry Mafia, or whatever his name is, where Anita and Pam said for the case that started, Mary's niece, Michelle, was willing to kill someone just to date Dave. And Dave was excited. He never had anybody willing to kill someone just to date Dave. They're dating. That poor family that's in debt needs his help. Katie's mom's Mary, Anita's her aunt, and Michelle's her cousin, and that's her dad. And they already admitted September 30th, 25 at 1 o'clock in the morning, a biker was yelling at her outside that this whole thing was her family's debt to drug dealers. That they had me raped, tortured, skull bashed in because they were in debt to drug dealers. That they even human trafficked people because they were in debt to drug dealers. It was her family that incited my new husband's family to threaten his life, to steal his farm. And she already knew the original cartel, already confessed that everything was photoshopped, and she already knew they had got it out of Dave, my ex-husband, that it was medical malpractice, medication errors, and fraud that made me sick before. Okay. And then these people admitted November 23rd, 25, that they had asked Dave if they were in a scam on me to extort money from the government. If they could, and he said yes, if they made sure he got everything in the divorce. And then December 1st, 25, the other Michelle that dated an agent on a Rouge broke up with her March 27th, 25 of when she told him that the doctor from before was not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. He was one of her doctors. She actually don't know who he is, and when they bashed in my head, they tried to kill me or leave me incompetent, and it didn't work, and he broke up with her. He had got it out of Dave that a girlfriend from before me was using it, made him marry me so she could have free insurance to use. The lady using my insurance wasn't random identity theft. It was another scam with him and another girlfriend I didn't know about. My whole marriage was a scam. I had chest pains for days. And that family that was saying that it offended them calling her a faker, that it didn't even concern them. They were all in there lying to help them get away with it. They were in there to scam money from the government. And what was it, March 10th, 26, Walmart West, house by the electronics. An investigator from 18, how an FBI agent had told him that he got it out of that family a year ago. That they were all in their line and never offended them. They were lying to the FBI to help them get away with it. Haven't found any of this funny. All right, and then onset of people admitting the scam of the dirty doctor not being one of mine works for them. They had lied April 17th, 25, April 24th, 25, May 26th, 25. And it's just onset, okay? And then August 4th, 25, August 5th, 25, and August 7th, 25 of the hypnotic drugs. I'm told to say it before, where they said they used amnesia drugs, mind controlling drugs. They came right out and said they were hypnotic drugs. That's why you have no memory, you're sleepwalking, okay? You're wide awake and no memory. The dangers are using them. All right. December 1st, 25, the other Michelle that told that agent they threatened to kill her. And her and her friends went badass. And an investigator came in, Walmart 62, December 1st, 25. Michelle showed up at my office, said these people admitted this whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. Her ex-husband was involved. They all were. Okay, we'll put it that way. They all were. And that the doctor from before is not one of hers, works for them, and they had lied. He was one of her doctors. She actually don't know who he is. And that guy Pete running his mouth, she doesn't even know who he is. It's just some guy Dave hired on his own. And they admitted to using hypnotic drugs on her when they talked to her and told her to say it before. And the tape of Wear It With Yourself is nothing but a shower scene in the other room of washing yourself. And it's photoshopped. And the whole thing was just a scam to extort money from the government. Then if you take January 1926, Henry Moffey comes in, Bob Evans, and Fairlawn, and said, I seen her dancing around the car with her new husband. She acts like a big kid. The officers that watch her for the case only watch her because they feel sorry for her. He said, I'm the one that got a hold of her online at the first of the case. Within the first month, I got weird messages through Instagram. I think you're beautiful. It's like, thanks. And then something about love on a beach or something else. I don't know. Random weird comments. And then people talk about him in the store. And then he drives around with people that are breaking. They work for Judge Peters and they're from Florida and they're drug dealers, drug traders, and human traffickers. I don't know him. Okay. He said, I sent those messages out. I thought you looked like him, but a lot thinner. And I'm watching him tell some guy this. He said, I proved she was cheating. That's not me cheating. That's you being a weirdo. I don't know you. And he said, I tell all men she's not good enough for another man. And I'm glad I never met her in person. He said, I'm the one that's telling her new husband's family to threaten his life to take everything, that I steal everything for him. And I found out his son was down there vandalizing stuff on the farm. Told him, stay out of it. Okay. I'll steal everything for them. He said, I have a judge's friend that'll utter all my tapes in court and turn everything over to me, and I'll steal all the money from the case while the FBI is busy with Minnesota and be long gone and pull a fast one on the FBI and steal everything for myself. That over my dead body, I wrote the president. This thing was an attack on the FBI. My brother-in-law, Craig, and more likely, strange thought he was FBI. The way Craig described himself, he said he was a private consultant for the FBI, unrestricted, did war weapons, spyware, traveled the world undercover, and he worked for Dick Cheney at the Pentagon. Okay. He was unrestricted. He could work anywhere in the world. He was only a consultant for them. His friends were FBI headquarters. He said his one boss was a spook, that's a spy. More likely he was, and he never told us. And He hated Craig Strangewood when Linda and Tim would go out there to visit. I hate my son goes out there and visit that Craig thinks he's going to live a wild lifestyle, working for the government, and Lori and him living with all those other men. Um, put my kid in that middle of that wild lifestyle out there, and he hated him. So a man that he hated in a government he hated, he thought they were dumb as a box of rocks. He thought they could hire the drug dealers that they were in debt to his son's mistress family member. And they could run stocking tapes of photoshopping and washing hypnotic drugs until to say it, and have some idiot pretend to be a doctor. And the FBI would open a real case and hand them the money. He was a low-educated occult leader. And where my sister Linda said, everybody thinks Strange is so smart, he's not. And I said, what do you mean? He only has a high school diploma from the 1950s. He can only read, write, add and subtract, multiply and divide, and that's it. He never went to college. I said, you're kidding. She said, no, he only got his minister's license because in the 1950s they showed up. Some ministers did a couple Bible courses and signed a bunch of licenses. He only got that church because that other minister couldn't sell it. And he agreed to do a land contract with him. If he missed one payment, he lost everything. He didn't think he could keep up his end, so he bullied everybody out of tithes, money, and offerings so he could pay off that church for himself. He said that's the only reason why he got there. And he's very low educated. See, he didn't know the laws. And the most ridiculous scam in the world. And see, that's where these people run around lying. Oh, Dave hired an attorney, gave him permission to go in. It made it legal. Right on Google. What is the jail sentence for an attorney if a husband hires him to stalk their wife with body cameras in their home? It's 5 to 20. Disbarment immediately. No one can take the rights away from another. What is the jail sentence for if a husband what is the jail sentence for an attorney if a husband hires him to stalk his wife, setting up body cameras, taping in bathrooms, photoshopping like washing in the shower in the other room, have men break in and drug him up and tell him to say stuff and him being raped under drugs? It's life in federal. That's how fast they should have been arrested. And the ridiculous and the absurdity that any of this happened. The officers that work my case have told me, you need to be proud of what you lived through. Because of what you lived through, we got all this evidence on those people. You helped save a lot of lives. My friend Walter used to work at the Stark County Prosecutor's Office. He said, Karen, you don't realize you got a lot of great favor with a lot of officers helping out with that FBI case. Some lady showed up last week in Belden, and where they have been getting all these people to confess to everything, and everything's been debunked. Well, they show up and laugh at him, like where that Henry Mafia admitted he never met me in person. Well, on January 1926, well, on the 20th, I was in Belden. They were in there laughing. We told you she didn't know what's going on. The guy admitted he never met her in person. They're cackling him. They've been cackling at these people like crazy. Some lady showed up and said, I'm tired of Officer Mark and those officers showing up laughing at these people that they're getting them to confess everything they did to her. And I'm the one in charge. They'll realize it. Officer Mark, Officer John, the real Agent John, I think they need to meet one of you. And they need to realize who's really in charge. They told people back in 19, Karen belongs to the U.S. government. No man touches her. You don't realize that. And told those people that. And at first I hated that statement. But being an FBI informant, I actually do. And you can kiss the US government's ass. These nasty, dirty people running scams. See, with I'm telling you, I bet that Agent John is an imposter. They were talking today again about how dumb they were bringing that imposter being John in front of the FBI and police and let them see that they knew they were running a scam and that it was him. So that they'd have a scam of him verifying it was that other guy. And they said, oh, they were making fun of her because Agent John stole their money. He's passing it out to everyone. See, they're trying to get him arrested. See if he's actually really doing this. He does need arrested. My God, he's dangerous as hell. But more than likely, it's an imposter. This is an attack on the FBI. The FBI was the target. Like they said, they used me as a pawn. And you know, and I'm going to say something. With my brother-in-law working for the government, okay, and I have only met like his friends that were FBI headquarters maybe twice. But what I seen of my brother-in-law, them, they were the people that were the preppy, nerdy, good doers. That the way they talk, they wanted to make the world a safer place for everyone. And they wanted everyone's rights to be safe. And it just, I looked, I was very young when I met Craig. And him and my sister were 5 years older than me. And they were in high school when they met. And, years later, he died working for the government. And I always thought he did something so amazing for our country out there working for the government, traveling the world. I looked at him and the government and the FBI as like superheroes. I did. I know it's childish, but I was very young when I knew him. And my teachers loved the government. And when I grew up, they put the love of the government and the Constitution in all their students. And which is a very wonderful thing to do. And I think that is lacking in our schools today. And when being betrayed, even if it was an act from the beginning, was more heart-wrenching when one of your family members died and that you loved with all your heart. And it just cuts through you where you had such great admiration for an agency that my brother-in-law was helping, and for the people that I seen had so much integrity, and to be betrayed on every level was devastating and insulting and horrifying. And where I called the hotline and that agent, they had drugged me out so bad I couldn't answer the phone, and he left a voicemail. And the next day I wasn't much better. The third day made myself get up and got a hold of one of my witnesses, gave that agent's number where I left a voicemail in a card and dropped it off on the way to church. And at the mall, and her manager put a locker. Went up to have a stock church apartment. He was supposed to be up there telling people he knew I was being drugged, being raped, and didn't care. Because some idiot called me a faker to cover up his son and Katie, and they thought I was following him in '03. And he made up a baby lie. It was just him making up that baby lie to cover up that. And it was Linda Fall and her husband. And it just, telling people that he didn't care I was being harmed like that. And I thought it was a wild water. And hearing people say that and realizing I got bruises all over me, severely infected, and throwing up, almost passing out. It's not the water being toxic. I'm being raped and trying to keep it together. And the horror setting in. What they were doing to me under drugs. And to hear that an agent didn't care. And then how he talked to me on a recorded line. It was supposed to be an act of laughing at me, how they were trying to kill me for some idiot calling me a faker, and how he met with everyone in his office. And see, that's where the officer showed up and had told me it was an act. It wasn't supposed to be real. And to be betrayed on every level. The FBI still owes me that money. Because what is a jail sentence for an FBI agent to tell on a victim calling for help? 20 to life. What is a jail sentence for an FBI agent bullying a victim into false statements? It can go into 20. It's badgering, obstruction, tampering with a witness. What is a jail sentence for an FBI agent to tell an informant that if they say anything, they don't get their money? It's 20 to life. It's blackmail, extortion out of government funds, tampering with a witness, tampering with evidence, obstruction to justice, and a crime against the U.S. government. What is a jail sentence for an FBI agent telling an informant if they say anything, they won't have help? It's attempted murder, aiding and abetting crimes, obstruction to justice, and tampering with a witness. What is a jail sentence for an agent being seen with opposing attorney against an informant? It's 20 to life. It's obstruction to justice. All these are abuse of authority. Tampering with a witness and tampering with evidence. 20 to life. All these are federal crimes. I've talked to a criminal attorney, prosecutor's office, and police. It's illegal. It's federal crimes. No judge could sign it. And then what would be the jail sentence for a judge signing it? The big sentences of 20 to life. They're not immune from prosecution for criminal charges. They still owe me that money. Like Walter said, you don't realize you're not only in an informant case, but a threat and attempt to lie case. These people try to kill you, and they could wait and try to kill you again. You'll be in protective custody the rest of your life. And you'll be in immunity the rest of your life. You get the money the rest of your life for helping the FBI work that case, and the government getting the information on those people, and they owe you for the rest of your life. You can never get out. The only thing the FBI can do is put you in another witness protection program. And they have to talk to you first, but you always be in one. And I got left in hell where they got surveillance on those people. I got tortured, skull bashed in, beat in my stomach till I almost ruptured my intestines. I have large pouching in my stomach. They induced vomiting till I lost 70 pounds. And my stomach shifted up under my ribs. I have a damaged shoulder. I have a damaged rib cage, and I have a dent in my head the size of a hammer. I stutter now when I get upset, and I got fast growing cataracts on my eyes. I need eye surgery. I'm trying to get this cleaned up so that when I go to have eye surgery, they won't mess with the surgeon. I don't want to end up blind. The FBI ought to be paying for all of those injuries. I need a medical card. A letter of thank you would be nice. And I'd like new names as social for me and Carl so we can live out our life in peace. My money. And someone needs to warn Agent John what they're doing. You need to get those imposters. And Officer Mark, Officer John, that lady that was with the Louisville police was probably the lady in the mall saying she's in charge. You need to get that lady that was stalking me yesterday in Walmart. And nobody ever paid for harassment. You'll never get your money back. And the cartel's just scamming you out of money. It's just a drug cartel scam. The whole thing is. December 18th, 24, I went into Walmart 62. At first, two men came in. They said she had charges. Somebody else said it's just the drug cartel. So we had somebody call up to the Ravenna courthouse. There's nothing against her. They said it is just the drug cartel. It's just a scam. The whole thing. They thought they could scam the FBI out of money. And they were after Agent John to get him arrested. And I'm even afraid with the Ohio drug dealers were threatening him that they may be trying to get somebody else to do it, maybe even law enforcement, with putting so much evidence against them. There's a reality check of what these people are doing and realize the FBI and him's the target. And they were the target the whole time. They were just trying to steal money from him. I'm going to pull this.